Okay, so my research included listening to records from the 60s, and thank God I've got quite a few of them. I'll go through them real quick. The ones that I listened to. So we've got Simon and Garfunkel. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. Um, and then we've got The Byrds' Greatest Hits. I'm pretty sure this is a young Eric Clapton because he was in The Byrds. So I think that's baby Eric Clapton, father of blues, moving on from all the greats in the 50s. Then we've got Between the Buttons. This is the first Rolling Stones album, I think. If I'm wrong about that, I'm going to get shit on. But another great album that I listened to. The infamous self-titled Doors album. We've talked about Jim Morrison. We're going to talk about him more because he's a phenomenon. I used to hate the Doors, and now I don't. And I love this album. I'm glad that I found it. We've got Zeppelin's One, Led Zeppelin, self-titled again, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant. There's a lot more that goes into them in the 70s, and we've also done one or two episodes on them, I think. So we did Aleister Crowley, and then we also did a Led Zeppelin segment, I think. Right? I believe so. And then another 60s album that is near and dear to my heart is also a concept album, and it's Tommy by The Who. If you've seen Almost Famous, there's a scene after the girl, the boy's main. Oh my God, I can't talk. The main character's sister goes away from home. She becomes a stewardess. She leaves all of her records at home for him, and she puts on a sticky note, "Listen to Tommy with the lights out, and it'll change your world." And I was so happy that I found this on vinyl because it is quintessential to the 60s. So those are the albums that I have and albums that I've listened to. And needless to say, music in the early 60s and mid 60s was much different from music going into like 1967 to the 70s. Lyrically, very different. And that kind of gets into when heroin was introduced, which was in the late 60s. Um, and in
There's
the
a lot
early
of there's
60s,
like optimism and idealism in the early stuff.
yes, they were like very happy, and they were like the hippie movement was politically powered, obviously, because they were against all of the war and all of the hatred, and they just wanted love and peace. They were much more than just like drug induced people. Um, so the music that reflected that period was very much like if you think about Bob Dylan had a lot of political lyrics, like the times they are changing. And then we've also got, let me see, Blowing in the Wind. We've got A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. Quite a few of Bob Dylan's songs in the 60s were very politically powered. And then he also had his Joan Baez spats, and they would go back and forth on their lyrics about how much they hated and loved each other at the exact same time.